This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Live on a Friday, on an At the Movies with Tim Sika Friday, an Aloha Friday. There's a new tab on my system, which is called StreamYard, that we use to broadcast, and it says applause intense, and I kind of want to see what it sounds like. Are you ready? It's not that intense. I didn't think it was that intense. There's a bounce sound effect, a heartbeat, a gong, and a drum roll bongos. Okay, I don't know if I'm going to incorporate any of those sounds, but I just saw the new tab, so I thought we'd experience that together. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thanks for switching over after the Mark Thompson Show to the After Party Live. Tim Sika is going to be along any minute. And before we get to him, I do want to ask you to please click the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the show. And thank you, everyone, for all the ways you contribute. And that includes PayPal, the information of which is in the show description every day and in the About tab as well. First story that I want to get to before Tim pops in is this story about the creepy dolls. I know I'm kind of on the Halloween kick lately. It's that season. It's spooky. These dolls freak me out too. This is a museum that is in Minnesota, and they have swapped out some of their displays with creepy doll displays. It's a seasonally appropriate exhibit dedicated to creepy dolls. This is called Creepy Dolls Loose in the Vaults. It's in the History Center of Olmsted County's new exhibit at the Rochester Museum Archives. The idea is, they say, the dolls are let loose in the vaults. They have curated the show. They have chosen the objects they relate to most, the dolls, that is. The exhibit is supposed to combine history with entertainment. The folks at the museum say this is what people resonate with and why they connect to these objects, what takes you back in your mind to the memories of your childhood. Museum officials say all of the dolls that are featured were donated by members of the community. They were asked to include information about the history of each toy. The doll has come from Olmsted County. They said, we really want everything to be tied to their region. Visitors are asked to vote for their favorite of these creepy dolls, and the winner then will be announced at the end. It's kind of a fun way to bring the season and the creepiness of the season into a museum, get people to come in and check it out and get the community involved as well. There's something about dolls that, I didn't think this in my childhood, but now that I look at them, they are really, really, really creepy. Okay, I'm getting a call from Tim Sika, so we're going to take it live. Hi, Tim Sika.
Hey, Kim, I do not have the link.
Oh, no, I emailed it. I'll try to email it to you again and see if it works. Thank you for calling, and I'm going to send it to you right now so that you can join us. And thank you.
Okay, it's probably my email, whatever.
No, I'll try it again. Whatever.
All right.
Thanks, Tim. I'll see you in a few minutes.
Okay, all right, bye.
Okay, bye. We live out loud here on the After Party Live. Let's see. Okay, I'm emailing it to him again. There you go. See if that works. He's got a lot of good movies coming up to talk about as well. Some of them similar to Michael Snyder's and some completely different. So I think it'll be really good to talk to Tim Sika, as it always is today. But while he is logging in, that means I have time to do another story. Have you seen these shoes? I don't have these shoes. And now there is 0% chance that I would ever buy these shoes. This company is called On, O-N, and they make these shoes that are supposed to have this technology. You can see the bottom of the shoes. They have these holes in them, right? And the holes are all along the underside of the shoe as well. And it's called the cloud technology, and was created to cushion support whenever your foot lands. And the only problem is, whenever your foot lands, the shoes make this most obnoxious squeaking sound. Squeak, 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 squeak. So you buy these shoes to wear to work. Maybe you're working in a hospital. You're squeaking all over the place. It's apparently so off-putting that when you spend however much on these shoes, and I think they're a couple $100s, yeah, $200 on these shoes, you don't want to wear them. So now customers have filed a class action lawsuit because of the squeak, that it's embarrassingly loud when they walk. The shoes, they say 11 of their styles shoes are referenced in their lawsuit. The Cloud 5, the Cloud 6, the Cloud Monster, the Cloud Runner, all made with this cloud technology. The lawsuit says cloud tech was created to provide cushioned support, but according to plaintiffs, the technology rubs together when you walk or run, causing a noisy, embarrassing squeak with each and every step. The lawsuit says it might seem inconsequential that you have this squeak, but the company won't provide refunds to people who are unhappy with the noise, leaving customers with no relief after buying almost $200 shoes that they can't wear without doing their significant do-it-yourself modifications to the shoes to get them not to squeak. The lawsuit says no reasonable customer would purchase the shoes from On or pay as much for them as they did, knowing that each step creates an audible, noticeable squeak. That nurses who are on their feet all day bear the brunt of the defect. You can't be squeaking around when people are trying to sleep, right? The night shift nurse? That's awful. The lawsuit also says the company can make this product better to avoid the squeakiness, but they have done nothing to remedy this issue. So, class action lawsuit over the On sneakers. You know who else is on? I got him. He's here at the Movies with Tim Sika. Welcome to
Hello, Kim.
Hello.
I'm gonna do my version of squeaking for the next 20 minutes, okay?
I love your squeaking. I will take your squeaking every single week. I'm
Okay.
really interested in the first movie that you have on offer today. I love myself some Keanu Reeves, I have to say.
Yeah, well, I have something to say about that. Okay, so this movie's called Good Fortune, and it's what they are calling a supernatural comedy movie, and it's written and directed and stars Aziz Ansari. Where is he in the poster there? Oh yeah, he's to the right of Keanu Reeves. Anyway, it's his directorial debut, and he plays the struggling gig economy worker who switches bodies.
Oh, the body switching movie?
Yeah, well, that's part of it, right? He
Okay.
switches his body with one of his wealthy employers, played by Seth Rogen, right? And in the background, there's this other story is cooking about a bargain basement guardian angel, played by Keanu Reeves, whose job it is to prevent people who are texting while driving from getting into automobile accidents. Like right at the point where they're like texting, and then he taps them on the shoulder, and they go, "Oh," and they stop just in time to avoid an accident. Okay, that's the premise. Okay, and there's
That's
other
kinda
stuff
funny.
going on. Yeah, it is kind of funny. Okay, but yeah, okay, what? Okay,
Uh-oh.
let me. No. I'm recommending this. Actually, I'm going to play my hand here, but it's also this observational comedy about like the American dream, kind of like being dead, and it plays with the idea that the other man's grass is always greener, that money can't buy happiness, blah blah blah. Okay, so what did I think of it? Comedies, as we all know, are dicey because if they're funny, we excuse them of any writing, acting, or directing defects or flaws that they might have. And this one has a lot of them. Narrative pacing is weird. Awkward direction is the jokes falling flat. So my word or words on Good Fortune is that it's a very silly, at times stupid, goofy comedy with a direct-to-video feel and look to it. So it looks kind of cheap, which is all. But here's the thing: all the actors are fine. Ansari has this kind of wacky comic appeal about him. He's funny to watch, and whenever he opens his mouth, it feels like you're immediately being set up to laugh or at minimum to smile. And he radiates this thing that makes you think he was born to be like a funny man. Anyway, Keanu Reeves. Yes, everybody likes Keanu Reeves. He's always appealing. I agree. I like the guy too. He plays the bargain basement angel who intervenes in the lives of these characters, but at times he appears to not even remotely know what he's playing. Now, that could have been a character choice. Some of his line deliveries are just unbelievably bad.
Oh, no.
Now that could be the writing. And as the character evolves and develops, that goes away. I think fans of Keanu Reeves are going to look the other way anyway, and they won't care. But anyway, the script is silly. It changes its own rules at every turn. There's not much logic to the thing. Like I said, a lot of the jokey bits kind of fall flat. And it's weird. I actually found the film irritating and only mildly amusing. But also, I have to admit that it kind of grew on me as it trudged along, and in its own way, it has a kind of sweetness and a silliness about it that if you give yourself up to the rhythms of the thing, I think it works. I think it's enjoyable, and it is mildly amusing. So bottom line, if you're looking for a silly, goofy comedy, or if you're a Keanu Reeves fan, or if you like movies with heart, he brings a lot of heart to this movie, his character and his performance. I think Good Fortune will be your ticket to the movies for this week.
This sounds like a movie that you're clicking around for something, late on a Sunday afternoon. There's not much going on. And you click on it and it's mildly amusing while you do the laundry.
Yeah. Or you're like, folding laundry or right. I don't know, playing solitaire or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. The next movie is called The Mastermind.
Boy, oh boy. Yeah. Is this ever one hell of an interesting movie? The Mastermind. It's written and directed by Indy Darling, Kelly Reichardt, who I'm a fan of hers. I really like her work. It's this quietly gripping, maddening and infuriating, at times very frustrating, but ultimately really good film. And I'm going to try to explain why I think that. I think this is I think it's a movie first and foremost, though, and primarily for critics, because it is a heist movie, which has a general audience appeal, and the screenplay inspired by the 1972 robbery of the Worcester Art Museum in Massachusetts, in which two Gauguins and a Picasso and a Rembrandt painting were stolen, is a screenplay which you would think would have some sort of universal commercial appeal. But reports of people walking out of this movie online, I've been reading about this, are all over the place. And the main complaint these moviegoers have is that nothing happens in the movie, right? Well, a lot actually happens, but the detail in showing you what happens in the film, the planning and the execution of the heist, is all presented here in what can only be described as excruciating detail. And unintentionally or ironically or whatever, I think therein lies whatever appeal or greatness this film possesses, because it's a look at an art heist the likes of which we've never seen before in any heist movie, certainly in any Hollywood heist movie, or in any movie for that matter. Josh O'Connor, who's in the poster there, he seems to be appearing in every other movie I watch these days. He's very good Scottish, I think, actor. He's terrific, as usual, as the head art thief. There's three guys that mastermind this heist, and he is the mastermind of the title. And this is one of those movies. Well, first of all, it's unmistakably Kelly Reichardt, or Kelly Reichardtian, I would call it, a one-of-a-kind filmmaker whose view of the world and just the manner in which she sees things and presents those on screen, her movies separate her from her peers. There's no one like this woman in terms of sheer personal artistry. She's made an anti-echo thriller. She's made an anti-buddy road movie. She's made two anti-westerns, a superb little film called First Cow, which is just a wonderful film, which I don't want to go off on that, but she's a film critic's darling. But yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, this is one of those movies that while it was frustrating, it was still compelling while watching it. And in retrospect, it really stuck with me. At one point, I was almost going to give up on the movie, but I didn't. And I keep thinking about its pacing, its humor, its images, its very calculated and specific approach to the material. It's a kind of, I guess I would call it, being the critic that I am, a kind of like cinematic deconstruction, I would say, of the typical Hollywood heist movie. It is insanely slow. The first heist movie I ever saw that could literally double for a kind of guided meditation. I mean, if that makes any sense, it's difficult to describe, but it's an incredible movie, and as confidently told as only a master filmmaker can tell. So I don't know if that makes it sound interesting to most of the people, listening to me right now, but yeah, I really liked it, and I would like to see it again.
I find it interesting that you say that it's a heist movie, but that people are walking out because it's so slow and like, whatever.
Yeah.
You would think a heist movie is like action-packed thriller.
Yeah.
We're stealing stuff and the getaway car and
exactly.
No, I guess this is more about the planning beforehand.
The planning, the execution, some of it. I mean, these guys are they're really inept. They do these really, really stupid things. But there's this one long scene where the guy, he's got the paintings. He's like hiding them, and he's putting them in these like sacks that are going into this frame that are going into and you're going, what?
Why are they showing this to me?
Yeah,
why is this happening?
Right, and also it ends very abruptly. I mean, it ends like shockingly abruptly. You're going, it's over. So but the more I think of it and the more I think back on it, I really, really liked it. It's a one-of-a-kind movie. Yeah, some critics are saying it's Kelly Reichardt's most commercial movie. I don't. Maybe in description that it's a heist movie, it's her most commercial. But like I said, people are walking out on this movie because they're just it's too slow for them. And it is slow, but it's never, to me, it was never boring. It was just frustrating more than anything. Anyway,
it sounds like a movie that critics like, but that the rest of us are like, what is that?
Yeah, separates the critics from the normal moviegoers who just go to enjoy a movie, right?
It's too smart for us, Tim Sika.
I don't know. No, I don't know if it's too smart. I just think it's a very unusual look. Like I said, it's like she's deconstructing the genre by doing it this way. I don't know. I don't know. It's the one movie of Kelly Reichardt that I found very hard to put into words. Her other movies, while equally unusual, they're very easy to describe and talk about. This is, I would love to talk to her about this and say, Kelly, what were you thinking?
What is happening?
Yeah, what's happening? Yeah.
Let's move to this movie. It's called Urchin.
Yeah, Urchin. This is another really good movie. It's a British indie drama written and directed by actor Harris Dickinson, who was most recently seen in Baby Girl opposite Nicole Kidman, which we talked about. He's young actor, young British actor. And what Urchin basically is, it's this anatomy of a young homeless man, played by Frank Delane, who's in the poster there, living by his wits in London. He's dealing with poverty and addiction. And so the movie is this series of dramatic incidents of this guy negotiating his way through the streets, getting arrested for assault, for stealing, trying to re-insinuate himself into society by, after one particular arrest, hooking up with a government agency and government programs to find a job, a living space, that kind of thing. So in addition to being this compelling narrative about this lost soul, which is very absorbing as well, the screenplay's rife, but subtly rife with societal commentary about despite good intentions, how many of these government programs to help societies underprivileged and disenfranchised are in the end not the most effective things in the world, in my opinion, because they fail to zero in and focus upon the root cause of why a person is homeless. Do they have mental problems? Are they, were they abused as kids? Who knows? But they pretty much only deal with the symptoms, I think, these programs. But that's a whole nother conversation. So this is a movie that is visually symbolic in the best sense. It's artsy in a way that refuses to alienate its audience. It's artsy in a way where the average moviegoer, I don't think, will notice that it's artsy, unlike The Mastermind, right? It's quite an amazing first time at bat directing job when you really think of it. Harris Dickinson directs it, and he also plays a small role as another homeless man, but he has this total command of the narrative. And the film's what do they call it? What do they call it in theater? Mise en scène, like that. The arrangement of the actors, the arrangement of the scene, the setting up of the scene, especially considering that we know very little, if anything, about the main character's background or how he got to where he wound up, which is on the streets. And yet we're kind of rooting for him, even though he's pretty, he's got a lot of problems and he does a lot of heinous things. It's just an excellent, wise beyond the director's years accomplishment. Dickinson's only 29 and he wrote the screenplay too.
Oh,
It shows amazing insight into the problem of the homeless, and it's both entertaining and it's it provokes conversation, and so on pretty much every score I recommend it. It's very, very good.
Okay, that's called Urchin.
Yes.
This next one is called Among Neighbors. I haven't heard of this one before. It opens later in the month. I think it opens October 24th in San Francisco, but it's an illuminating documentary that focuses on one of the last living Holocaust survivors from a small Polish town, and on an aging eyewitness who saw Jews being murdered in this small Polish town 6 months after the end of World War II and the defeat of the Nazis. So this movie is not only about the post-war murder of Holocaust survivors in Poland, which until this film I knew nothing about, that returning Jews to their homes after being in concentration camps, surviving concentration camps, were murdered by their Polish neighbors, like months after the war ended. But it also deals peripherally with Polish anti-Semitism and how many of the Polish people who were complicit with Germany during the war in ridding Poland of their Jewish community, who were their friends and their neighbors and their doctors and lawyers and merchants, and whose children played with each other. And so, the movie examines this story of a small rural town where Jews and Polish Catholics lived side by side for centuries before the war started, before World War II, and brings the Polish response to the Holocaust to life through these last living eyewitnesses who are interviewed in the film. The movie took 10 years to make, and I think all of the eyewitnesses have subsequently passed. But it reveals really betrayal as it zeroes in on one of the last living Holocaust survivors from the town, and who saw Jews being murdered there, not by Nazis, but by her own Polish neighbors. What else? I mean, the film's not only an important historical document, but also a timely reminder that authoritarian governments are not only trying to rewrite history, because this movie builds towards that. In 2018, Poland's government actually outlawed speech that blamed Poland in any way for having any part in the Holocaust. Really?
Yes, legislation. I didn't know about this. This was in 2000. Legislation that amounted pretty much to criminalization of historical accounts, exactly like the ones we hear in this movie. But and then in the process too, this notion, the concept of objective truth is kind of slowly being obliterated country by country. I mean, we talked about this last week or the week before when we reviewed the Orwell 2+2=5 documentary. Anyway, eye-opening documentary, really fine movie, and a must-see for the obvious reasons I just mentioned. I mean, it's important history. It's history I never knew.
Well, you know what? It's interesting because when I think about World War II and I think about the Holocaust, I think about the atrocities that happen, but my mind never really goes to, well, what happened afterward when people that survived reintegrated, back into their
Yeah,
previous lives and back into their neighborhoods and their homes. And you don't
yeah,
just go from, and it kind of
yeah,
goes to the division that I don't want
yeah.
to. I don't want
Well,
to compare the heinous things that happened in the Holocaust to anything else in the world.
yeah,
But when
yeah,
you look at what's happening in current society with the divisions and, people being angry at each other, and in this case, being told to hate each other, the othering, and then you have people that had this horrible experience try to come back to their lives, and you
yeah,
have still
yeah,
the hate from
yeah.
that was whipped up, like all the it's a part of
Yeah.
World War II that the aftermath that I hadn't really considered.
Yeah, well, the movie Sophie's Choice kind of examines that. After Sophie's interned, I think, in Auschwitz. She basically survives, but she comes back. And spoiler, folks, but she winds up killing herself at the
Oh
end of the
god.
movie, just because it was. I mean, yeah, well, for whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
it's complicated and
Yeah.
blah blah blah. But no, being a survivor of that kind of inexplicable horror,
Right.
yeah, it's a whole nother place to be at in your head. I can't imagine.
Mhm.
But in this story, I mean, they not only, I mean, I had no idea that Jews were murdered in Poland, at least in this small town as documented in this movie, by
Yeah.
their neighbors as much as 6 months after the actual war ended, which you would have thought would have, at least put, anti-Semitism on the back burner for a little bit. But no, and who knows why they were murdered? I'm assuming, who knows? Maybe the people in the movie, which is another story I wish they would have gone into, but maybe there was no documented or eyewitness evidence to support that. You
Yeah.
wondered what they were thinking,
Mhm.
and it could have been like, oh, you caused all this problem. Germany invaded us.
Right.
Yada 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 yada. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, it's a very very compelling
Yeah.
movie. Really really good.
What's
Really good.
crazy is at least 2 or 3 times you've brought movies up that have to do with World War II and what happened to people during the Holocaust. And you would think that it happened so long ago in the
Hmm.
40s that we would know everything now, that all that
Yeah.
every and
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
you managed to come to me with things that I had never heard of
Same
multiple
here.
times. Like,
Same here.
how do
Yes.
we not know this?
Yeah. Well,
How is this just coming to light?
yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
think because I still think there's a lot of untold stories waiting to be
Yeah.
told about that period in history. Yeah. Yeah. There's
Yeah.
another movie that's coming out this week too, which I didn't get a chance to see. I think it's called Truth or Treason, and
Mhm.
it's about a 16-year-old. I think. I think he was a German boy. It's a true story. I'm surprised it's taken this long for them to even make this movie. I didn't know about this kid. It was a kid, 16-year-old, who was, who worked in the underground during Germany to try to, to get rid of Hitler. He printed pamphlets and things and all kinds of stuff, and was constantly. I didn't know about that story
No.
about a
Mm-mm.
German who was, a German kid that was. So I think there's a lot of stories, especially about the Holocaust. And I think one of the
Yeah.
reasons the stories are slow in coming is because people just who've experienced that find it very, 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 very hard to talk about because they have to
Mhm.
relive it,
Yeah.
those kinds of horrors. Anyway,
Really
yeah.
interesting. Rev P writes, if the returning Jews to Europe had been welcomed with open arms and given their homes and businesses back, there may never have been a need or a push for a Jewish state. Israel.
Good point.
Yeah,
Maybe.
really
Yeah.
interesting thought.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's move to the next movie. We have this one called Blue Moon.
Blue Moon, yes, as in the song. The
Mhm.
last of this week's films, and the one I wanted to leave for last, probably my favorite of the week too, because this movie is the kind of movie that just hits my movie watching sweet spot. I love these kinds of intimate, dialogue rich comedy dramas that could easily have been plays, and that are character driven, superlatively written, wonderfully acted. Anyway, yeah, okay. So Blue Moon, it's a biographical movie of sorts. It's directed by Richard Linklater and written by this guy named Robert Kaplow, and it's in the style of some of Linklater's earlier films, like Me and Orson Welles, which was also written by the same writer who wrote Blue Moon, Bernie and Hitman, those kinds of movies. Linklater is just great in dealing with this kind of material. Anyway, and I said sort of biographical portrait because it is, but it focuses just on one incident in the life of its subject. I should mention the movie subject. It's lyricist Lorenz Hart, a.k.a. Larry Hart, who was the professional partner of composer Richard Rodgers of Rodgers and Hammerstein. And Rodgers and Hart, before Rodgers became Rodgers and Hammerstein, wrote the music and lyrics for some, I think it was like 26 Broadway musicals during a partnership that lasted over 20 years, and one that ended shortly before Hart's early death at age 48. He died of pneumonia. He was picked up in the rain in a drunken stupor. Anyway, and the stories focuses on the evening of the Broadway premiere of Rodgers and Hammerstein's first collaboration, Oklahoma, which went on to become, one of the Broadway mega hits of all time. And it focuses on Larry Hart's reaction to it, the play being without him as the lyricist, and the knowledge that it was going to be a smash hit. So the film's it's largely set indoors on March 31st, 1943. That's the historic opening night of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Oklahoma. Hart is suffering from alcoholism and depression, which is one of the reasons why Hart and Rodgers broke off from each other, because Hart was considered unreliable and Rodgers put up with all this stuff, and he was just the opposite. He was on time. Anyway, they had a lot of personal issues, but they stuck together for more than 20 years because the work that they both produced was so amazing and so brilliant. Most of the plot takes place at the bar of Sardi's restaurant in New York, with Hart played by Ethan Hawke in a career high performance. Apparently he waited 12 years to play this part. I don't know all the details about how the movie was developed and stuff, but it was something he wanted to play for a long time. He plays it here. He's amazing. Anyway, it opens up with him at a bar getting drunk and complaining. This is during the not the interval. He kind of walks out watching Oklahoma, rolling his eyes, going, "Oh God, this is like corn-fed gloop, and not sophisticated in the way I'm." So he was drunk, complaining about his former creative partner's new hit to the bartender, played by Bobby Cannavale. So yeah, this is literate. It's witty. It's funny. There's so many great lines in this movie, reflective of the brilliance of Hart's own lyrics. I mean, if you love theater, or if you love musical theater and you like great show tunes like Where or When, The Lady is a Tramp, what else did he write? Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered, My Funny Valentine, With a Song in My Heart, and of course Blue Moon. This is essential viewing. I don't know how this is going to play in the general marketplace, because I loved it because of the history and my knowledge of Hart and Rodgers and Hart's output, and just the history behind how Hart got to the point where he got to when the movie starts. So I had an informed history about the story, and I loved it. I don't know if, I don't know how general audiences are going to respond to this movie, but I loved it. And I think in the years to come, I think it's going to be one of my go-to comfort movies.
Oh.
So, yeah. Just wonderful movie. Yeah.
That's Blue Moon. Okay.
Yeah.
Your classic movie recommendation of the week. Oh, this is perfect. Wait. Okay. I have new sound effects on the StreamYard thing. Ready?
Oh, yeah.
Your classic movie recommendation of the week. It's good, right? We like it. It is called...
Wait, I didn't hear anything.
You can't hear that?
No.
Oh. Well, that's,
maybe if you're
letdown. I can hear it as a bongo drum roll, but
okay, good. Yeah. Well, maybe on the playback. Maybe because I'm in the queue or something. I don't know.
Or maybe only I can hear it, and maybe I shouldn't be doing that anymore. I don't know.
Well, we should. We'll compare notes later and test it to make sure
Did
that
you
it's
guys
working.
hear it did you guys in the chat hear it, or was it just me that heard it? I don't know. Let me know. But you're
I love the
I'll do
drum
my own
roll.
bongo drum roll. Yes.
Yeah, da da
It
da da.
is called Now Voyager.
Yes. Okay. Well, okay. To all of the ladies listening right now, this movie, Now Voyager, I mean, doesn't this movie look like, when this movie was made and released by Warner Brothers in 1942 during the war, it was considered a quote unquote woman's picture. And I guess from the poster, you could say, yeah, because its focus was on this woman, this character. Her name was Charlotte Vale. What?
Are you saying this is the very first chick flick?
It may have been one of the. I think. Well, there were chick flick. Yeah, it is. It's a chick flick. What am I thinking? Yeah. See, yeah. Okay. Anyway, yes, it is definitely a chick flick. But anyway, but let me. It has a little wider appeal than that. But it's basically a chick flick. Betty Davis plays this character named Charlotte Vale. She's at the height of her powers as a formidable screen actress and presence. She plays a dowdy, frustrated, and oppressed daughter. Ooh, yeah, those scenes between her and Gladys Cooper there. Ooh, of a wealthy matriarch played by Gladys Cooper. They're both in the picture there. And her mother drives her to a nervous breakdown because she's so like controlling of her daughter, so she drives her to a nervous breakdown and into the hands and the care of a humane and empathetic psychiatrist played by Claude Rains. Now, that's Paul Heinrich. That's the married man that she falls in love with while she's on vacation. Anyway, but the Claude Rains character, the psychiatrist, is the focal point for her, not only physical but mental transformation. I mean, she starts out in this movie really not very attractive, but emerges like from this cocoon, and she's gorgeous, beautiful, glamorous Betty Davis. And yeah, this is a woman's picture. But you know what? I'm outing myself in public here. I love this movie. It functions so well on so many levels as heightened romance, as romantic drama, as a serious tearjerker. You can even watch it as camp if you want to look at it that way, as a kind of kitsch if you wanted to look at it another way. Pauline Kael, I think, famously called it like really great trash or something to that effect. But it's just so beautifully done. It's so of its time. Davis is so consummate and committed to this character that she plays. The movie is probably best remembered for the scene in which Paul Heinrich, now that's somebody else, I can't remember that, I don't remember that actor, but that's somebody that she breaks her engagement off of. It's because she's changing. Anyway, but it's best remembered for the scene, and there's gotta be a picture here somewhere, for the scene in which Paul Heinrich, who's the married man who Davis's character falls in love with, lights 2 cigarettes in his mouth simultaneously and then hands one to Davis, which she promptly takes and deeply inhales and then exhales. The swirl of smoke. Nobody smoked better and so seductively on screen than Betty Davis. I mean, she when she smoked, it was like she was making love to the cigarette. Anyway, and of course, her famous, but he's lighting her cigarette in the climactic scene. He lights 2. He keeps one in his mouth. He gives the other one to her. Anyway, it also has the famous line that and final reassurance to the man she's unable to marry, but to whom she will eternally be connected because through the care of his daughter, which is, I don't want to spoil anything here, but her famous last lines was, oh, Jerry, don't let's ask for the moon. We have the stars. And then the music is up with the swell, and it's just all grade A schlock, but not without its own kind of depth. There's a reason this movie is still written about and talked about and watched how many years later? I mean, do the math, 80, something like that? Oh, and the Oscar-winning score by Max Steiner. It's sublime stuff, highlighted by a main theme that once you hear it, you cannot get it out of your head. So anyway, it's streaming on Amazon Prime. If you like romances, if you love chick flicks, man, I really, seriously, this is one you'll return to over and over. I'll bet my bottom dollar.
Oh, I've not seen it, and now I've never even heard of it.
Oh God! If I had to bet money right now, I would bet money on the fact that you, Kim McAllister, would probably love this movie.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right then, it's
Yeah.
on the list.
Okay.
Okay, we're recapping it. The first movie you told us about is called Good Fortune, and you said the pacing is off, the direction is off, the silly, stupid, goofy sometimes movie. It likely is going direct to video. This one, the actors are fine, except you said Keanu has some bad moments in this one. You found it irritating, but it did kind of grow on you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The next one is called The Mastermind, and you had a lot to say about this movie. You said it's a hell of an interesting movie. It's insanely slow, but quietly gripping and maddening, and also a really good film. You've heard reports of people walking out of this, but you said it's the excruciating detail that likely leads people to walk out that makes it actually interesting. That Kelly Reichardt has a unique perspective. You found the ending of this movie abrupt, and you found the movie frustrating but compelling, and it actually stuck with you. You really liked it, and you called The Mastermind a one-of-a-kind movie. The Urchin, or just Urchin rather, is what it's called, is a really good movie. You said it follows a young homeless man, and it comes with, because of that, societal commentary. You said it's visually symbolic and artsy, but still appealing to people, and an amazing insight into the homeless issue, which may invoke a conversation after the movie's over. You recommend Urchin. Among Neighbors, you found this movie very interesting. It's a documentary about what happened after World War II ended in this small Polish town. You said they interview the last living eyewitnesses to what happened there. You said this is an eye-opening movie, and it is a must-see. It's called Among Neighbors. Blue Moon. You love this movie. It's your favorite of the week. You said it hit your movie sweet spot. It's character driven. You said wonderfully acted, career high performance for Ethan Hawke. You said he's amazing in this movie. You said literate, witty. There's so many great lines. If you love musical theater, you'll probably enjoy this. You said it's essential viewing. You really loved it, and you hope general audiences feel the same. And you think this is going to become one of your go-to comfort movies, Blue Moon.
Yeah.
Then Tim Sika's classic movie recommendation of the week is Now Voyager, which we've decided is the first chick flick in history. It's a romance. You said it's beautifully done. You realize, you said there's grade A schlock here, but it comes with some depth. There's an Oscar-winning score. It is streaming on Prime. Now Voyager with Betty Davis, and you love how she makes love to her cigarette.
Yes, in every movie that she smokes, which is just about every movie that she's ever been in.
And there she is.
She could brandish that cigarette, boy, like nobody else.
Thank you so much for the wonderful movie reviews. It's in the eyes, it's smoking. It's the eyes. Smoking eyes, Santi says. So very cool. A lot of people have a lot to say about movies this week. 2 cigarettes, says Eileen. Yeah, you were talking about that scene.
Yeah, 2 cigarettes.
Yeah. So interesting. Such a good film, such a good choice, Tim, says Eileen. So yeah, she's liking it. Oh, people did hear the bongos. So okay.
So yeah, maybe it has something to do because I'm in the guest queue or something. I don't know.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised that you didn't hear it. For some reason I can't get my my Tim Sika at the movies poster up, but that is At the Movies with Tim Sika. Tim, thank you for joining. Appreciate you so much.
Oh, you bet, Kim. We'll talk to you next week, and you have a good weekend.
Thanks for coming on. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Always love Tim Sika. At the Movies with Tim Sika. It makes my Fridays, I have to tell you. Okay, let's move to some of these other stories we have, because there's a couple of lottery stories that I wanted to tell you about today. 2 of them, as a matter of fact. One, this woman won a huge prize at the same store where she works. Is that allowed? Are you allowed to play the lottery at the same store where you work? Apparently it happens in North Carolina, and it is allowed. This lady bought a scratch off lottery ticket while she was on a break from her job. And when she clocked back in, she was $200,000 richer. Happened in, again, North Carolina. This lady worked at the Marathon Food Center when she decided to buy a 5 times lucky ticket, a $5 scratch off ticket. She said, I saw a 2 and a 0, so I thought I won $20. I don't know why I'm doing an accent. She kept scratching and discovered her prize was actually not $20, but 200,000. She said, I was stunned. I just got lucky. And she said, this is a blessing and it's really going to come in handy. The next one is about numbers picked. I'm always interested in the way people pick their numbers. This one, the lady picked her numbers using Chat GPT. It happened in Michigan. This lady, her name's Tammy, she used Chat GPT, artificial intelligence, right, to pick this set of lottery numbers. And when Tammy walks away from all of this, she is $100,000 richer. Tammy, I guess Chat GPT paid off for her. That's weird. Okay, I have a picture of Tammy with her big old check. Oh, makes me want to look at Chat GPT, maybe a little closer. I don't know. So Tammy says she decided to buy a Powerball ticket online when the jackpot was really high in September. She said, she's like me. She said, I only play Powerball when the jackpot gets up there, and the jackpot was over at 1 billion. So I bought a ticket. She said, I asked Chat GPT for a set of Powerball numbers, and those are the numbers I played on my ticket. And her ticket matched 4 white balls and the Powerball. And so she got $50,000, and that prize was doubled because of a power play option. I don't know of this. She said, when I checked the winning numbers, I saw 4 white balls matched and the Powerball. And that's when she said, I knew I had something. She said Google told me it was a $50,000 prize, so that's what she thought she'd won. And it wasn't until she logged into the Michigan lottery account that she has that she realized she added the power play to her ticket and actually won $100,000. She said she and her husband were in total disbelief. They are using this $100,000 to pay off their home and to boost their savings. And look at her go. Good job, Tammy. Your Chat GPT paid off. You do this story about pickleball. There is, it's not a funny thing to say, but there is an uptick in pickleball related eye injuries. Yikes. Maybe use eye protection. Pickleball related eye injuries rose by more than 400 cases a year from 2021 to 2024, up from around 200 a year the prior decade. The study done reported in JAMA Ophthalmology. Some players taking direct hits from the balls, others received eye injuries during a fall or from being whacked by a paddle. The increase occurring even as eye injuries in other sports like tennis, baseball, and basketball have been declining. And people aged 50 or older had a higher risk of receiving an eye injury than younger players. The researchers saying we've seen a lot more players who are not familiar with the sport entering the court, and that creates a lot more opportunity for eye injuries. Yikes. They say they're just not used to how fast these projectiles are moving and how close to the other players on the court they are. The researchers involved in the study analyzed data kept by the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission. Between 2005 and 2024, there were about 3,112 pickleball-related eye injuries in the United States, with 1,262 of them being in 2024 alone. So, the number of injuries, they say nowhere near the nearly 20 million players estimated to have taken up pickleball in the United States, but they say it might represent a need for people to wear eye protection while playing. So, yeah. 43% of injuries involved a direct hit from the ball, 28% were from falls, 12% a hit from a paddle, and people 50 or older had a 39% higher risk of eye injury than younger adults. There you go. There was an effort to put eye safety into pickleball. In 2024, there's a group, USA Pickleball. They turned down a rule change that would have required players to wear eye protection in tournaments. They said it was just too challenging to enforce that rule, so they didn't want to do it. But to be noted, if you're a pickleball player, don't know if you remember this story about Ocean's Gate and the Titan, uh, and what happened there, how it imploded, killing people. There's been an ongoing investigation into what happened, why it imploded, who is at fault, all of this. And what we know now is that the Titan went on 7 dives with a damaged hull before it imploded. Investigators say they found the exterior of this submersible had multiple anomalies as early as 2022. The investigation done by the NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board, into Ocean's Gate Titan submersible disaster has concluded. And according to the summary report released October 15th, an already weakened hull caused this deep sea tourist vessel to implode while it was en route to the wreckage of the Titanic in June of 2023. And we know that the 5 people that were aboard the vessel, the Titan, died. So according to the findings, investigators said the submersible wasn't damaged shortly before its final voyage, but instead it had these layered fractures known as delaminations formed in its carbon fiber composite exterior 8 dives earlier during a trip taken in July of 2022. They said they found that the Titan sustained damage after it surfaced at the end of dive 80 in the form of 1 or more delaminations, which weakened the pressure vessel. That additional damage of unknown origin further weakened the submersible after its 82nd dive. The existing delaminations and additional damage that deteriorated the condition of the pressure vessel between dive 82 and dive 88, which was the dive that included the implosion, resulted in a local buckling failure that led to the implosion of the Titan. That is directly from the summary. The investigation now complete. They're also describing the engineering of this vessel as inadequate, because it had multiple anomalies that did not meet the required strength and durability needed to repeatedly reach a depth of more than 10,700 feet. They also said that the monitoring data was so flawed that the company was unaware that the Titan was damaged and that it had needed to be removed from service after dive 80. So they were not doing a good job at monitoring the vessels and looking at them for damage. Yeah. The investigation complete, the information out there now that we know, I mean, when they climbed aboard, it was already damaged. I'll give you this last story, which I think is really interesting. It's about a teeny tiny bioprinter. It's the size of a pill, and that makes it ingestible. And the thinking is that this little bioprinter could help heal people from the inside. So you hear the word printer and you think, the thing sitting next to me on my desk, this loud, bulky printer. But folks at the, I'll say it right, École Polytechnique Fédérale de Lausanne School of Engineering are turning this image into something else with the world's first pill-sized ingestible bioprinter. They used magnets and infrared laser and demonstrated that they can remotely guide this capsule, about the size of a regular pill that you would take, toward ulcers in the gastrointestinal tract. And once the bioprinter is in place, it releases bio ink to promote healthy cell repair. They've tested it, and they say it suggests the results that this tiny bioprinter could help heal gastrointestinal tissue damage and potentially seal hemorrhages off, all without the need for invasive surgery. So they're still in the early stages of testing this, but they say this model could serve as the foundation for a whole new way of non-invasively treating people. If you're interested in finding out more, check out this week's journal, Advanced Science. I know, some light weekend reading for you, but the findings are all detailed in the journal Advanced Science. They say by combining the principles of in situ bioprinters with the drug release concepts of smart capsules, they can envision a new class of device, a pill-sized swallowable bioprinter. That's pretty cool. It's something meant to meet what was before this a roadblock in how medical professionals were able to treat gastrointestinal disease. About 2.5, a little more than that, million people, 2.56 million people around the world die from such conditions every year. A lot of that related to inflammatory bowel disease, ulcerative colitis, and the current treatments usually just focus on managing the symptoms and not treating the root cause of all of this, which often can be underlying tissue damage. Because to get to the tissue damage, you have to have these horribly invasive procedures, right? Cutting somebody open, not minor surgery. And there's a risk of infection and all kinds of things. But if you could heal someone from the inside, well, that could be a game changer. So there it is. After being expelled from the capsule, the ink is traced in a pattern around the damaged tissue to ensure maximum coverage. In the case of an ulcer, the ink protects the wound from exposure to gastric juice, and it can also be combined with additional therapeutics to help accelerate healing. The researchers tested this device on 2 artificial ulcers in simulated gastric tissue, and they used a similar setup to model a hemorrhage. And when it was deployed in their test, the ingestible bioprinter was able to extrude a sealant and induce coagulation, effectively closing up that simulated hemorrhage. In the controlled lab experiments, the cell-laden bio ink retained its structural integrity for more than 16 days, which suggests its potential as a microbioreactor that can release growth factors and recruit new cells for wound healing. So that's pretty exciting. And I think that's a great way to end the show. Right? Right. Okay. Huge thank you to Mama de los Goblins, who throws in $6 because today is her middle son's 6th birthday. Happy birthday, she says, to me, Niño Guapo, her handsome little boy. Mama, that's so sweet. Happy birthday. I'm going to give you the Jacob song. Are you ready? This is specifically for your Niño Guapo. And I think I'm having trouble. Oh, no. I'm having trouble playing things and getting to, I don't know, maybe I've been on the air too long and my things are just freezing up. Let me see if I can find it. I don't think it's stuck on the picture section and not the movie section. Yikes. Well, maybe I'll try to figure it out when I play the closing theme, and maybe we'll play it afterward. I'm so sorry, but I'm going to play it. I'm going to figure out a way. Luis, heading to Dodger Stadium for NLCS Game 4. Thank you for being my after party pregame today. As always, writes Luis, mahalo for all you do. And it's hard for me to say it, but he writes, go Dodgers. Here I am in Giants country, but I'll say go Dodgers for you, Luis. Thank you for the $5. Thank you for the great comment. And thank you for taking us with you as you head to the pregame and do all of that. Let me try to get this picture off the screen. Okay, so here I am, and I'm still having a problem. You wiggle the mouse and the screen doesn't move. That's what happens here to me. So I don't even know if I can actually get to the end where I have my little video to play on the way out. because everything is just stuck, which means that perhaps I might just have to keep the after party going in perpetuity because I can't close it up. I'm going to see. I'm going to try and go in one other way and see if perhaps. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Here we have it. This is for Mama's son.
You requested your happy birthday song, so I'm gonna give you one. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthdays to you.
6th birthday. This is awesome. Do want to thank everyone who has contributed to this show, the most recent contributions via the PayPal link coming from Wes, who threw in 5 yesterday and the day before. Wes, thank you for that. Scott R, another one from Wes. Yvonne B, mahalo. Luis contributing to the show today. And you guys, I just really appreciate you so much and all of the ways that you help keep this show going. Also, thank you to Mama de los Goblins as well. All right. Have a great weekend. Make it the very best. When I see you next, it will be on the Mark Thompson Show on Monday. Gary Dietrich will be on the show, and I hope you'll join us for that. But until we meet again, make it the very best weekend. And I can click on the video now. Bye, everybody.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
For a minute, yeah. Thank goodness. Adios, mama. Sayonara, suckers. Take care, Eileen.